बैकग्राउंड ब्लर होतो थोडं maximum blur option येतच नाही.
Good morning and warm welcome to you all.
राजीव from Pakistan. सही है? हाँ।
लाइफ में सिर्फ मैच्योर नमस्कार दोस्तों हम डालेंगे आधा लीटर हम पानी डालेंगे क्योंकि ये
Andro perché lo penso di oggi. Tutto preso.
बना दे जो पतंग सांसें तेरी वो हवाएं हैं आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं ओ आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं दिल को बना दे जो पतंग सांसें
Quale potrebbe essere la radice? Ma qual è sta di cago?
ನೋಡಿ
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Jyoti Jarna, am I audible to you?
Yes, good morning. You are audible. Yes, please. Prakash Bachchan this side. Thank you.
Hi.
Good morning and warm welcome to you all. I am Miss Priya, your host for today. Sorry for inconvenience. We continue with our Sadhguru Summit 95th virtual webinar. Our today's topic is food safety culture. It shall be taken by Mr. Sumit Saxena. He shall be covering what is FSC, what do we need FSC, what are the requirements of FSC, what makes it auditable, and followed by question and answer session. Let's quickly start to the agenda for Sadhguru Summit. Virtual inauguration by Sundar Kataria, invoking the blessing of deity, chanting of Gayatri Mantra, introduction of speaker, presentation by Mr. Sumit Saxena, question and answer session, and last closing session. A brief introduction of Dr. Sundar Kataria. Sadhguru Sangh, conceived and led by Dr. Sundar Kataria, driven with a mission to elevate the quality, safety, and environmental awareness levels of industry. Sadhunsan is a series of educative, informative events aiming to illuminate professional on possible solutions, current issue of industry and economy. His designation and organization is Chairman and Managing Director of International Certification Services Private Limited. His academic qualification in Mechanical Engineering, AMIE, honorary doctorate in Business Management. His experience in nuclear RAPP. He started his career in India's first nuclear power plant at Rawatbhata, Kota, Rajasthan. Oil and gas, EIL. He contributed in developing India's first oil and gas field at Bombay High since its inception. DNV. He was head of industry and offshore development with DNV for 2 decades. ICS. He is founder of first Indian conformity assessment and inspection body known as International Certification Services Private Limited, which is a provider of total quality solution under single umbrella with wide spectrum of services. His achievements and awards: Lifetime Awards of NESCONCON, received several national and international awards. Now I request Dr. Sundar Kataria to virtually inaugurate the session.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Gayatri Mantra. Please join us for the recitation of the Gayatri Mantra. A brief introduction of our keynote speaker, Mr. Sumit Saxena. His designation and organization is Head of Global Operation, Marvin Quality Assurance Council. His academic qualification is BTech Food Technology. His area of specialization and experience in ISO 22000 as a lead auditor, master trainer for FOSTEC. Total 12 years of experience in food industry, has done around 500 mandates of audits in food manufacturing, retail and catering industry, has done around 10,000 man-hours, all international certification programs with 100% passing participants and more than 75% of merits. Its awards and achievements awarded by Equinox Labs, contribution of food safety on the entire industry in Pan-India Survey of Organization, individuals and NPOs in June 2017. Please welcome Mr. Sumit Saxena. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thanks a lot. I would request you to please give me the sharing rights to begin with.
So you can share. I'll just close, stop sharing. You can start
Yes.
sharing. Yes, sir.
Can you give me a little check, Jyoti, if I'm audible to you well and if you can see the slides correctly?
Yes, sir. We can see the screen properly. You can continue, sir.
Thank you. So before I can begin anything, I just felt how long I have been associated with ICS, because there is a little addition to my introduction here. It seems to be quite an old one. So I just add a few mandates which are close to 1200 now, and a few more certifications and a few more international certification and recognition on my food safety profile, plus close to 4.5 lakh man hours of training now. So I'm just sharing this because with this introduction, I felt, it's been a long time and it was quite an old profile now. And I have also been able to add one more award in there for the best hospitality educator from the Middle East. So thank you, Jyoti. And it's my fault, and I'm certainly going to share the new one with you and for the others, whoever is listening to us, because the profile of the speaker, it entails the confidence that the audience can have on them. So thanks, Jyoti, for a lovely introduction, and it's always blissful and delightful the way Dr. Kataria introduces this session every week, and at least that gives us a weekly once, a moment, an opportunity to get blessed. So thank you so much, and namaskar, everybody. I think we've already had the introduction, but a little introduction on food safety is very important to understand the drive that we have globally. And what is it that, it must also be coming across your minds, why it's been like hundreds of years that, we're talking about hygiene and food safety and hygiene, and the way the world is developing, the way the world is moving and treading beyond and forward and advancing in its technological improvisations in the systems. And as the population of the world increases, the dependency on the food and beverage has become multifaceted. It is no longer just a requirement to consume food to have energy. I mean, that used to be the initial, definitions by civilizations and religions that, you eat your food to conduct yourself well. You are what you eat, and the definitions used to move around the understanding or the perception that the food that you are eating is basically making you. But the kind of the generation we have today in this entire journey in Odyssey, what we realize is that food is just no longer a requirement. It has become an event, it has become an occasion, it has become a status symbol, and it is a style. And similarly, so it has given rise to various professions and businesses. And the most recent one will be, I would say, food photography and food blogging. So, and these things are giving rise to more and more challenges, is what I believe, with the food industry, because as a food industry, we fail to realize that we hold a responsibility. I must say, at times we fail to realize that we are holding the responsibility. We have a social and moral responsibility to spread health, and prevent spreading of disease through foods. So this is, I think, one of the various challenges that gave rise to the number and the kinds of international food safety standards. What leaves me understanding today is that why there is so much advancement in the food safety standards and implementation of these standards in the industry, And yet today we have food poisoning cases. You open up the US FDA or the CDC websites, and you'll find the number of the outbreaks and the recalls that have happened. I mean, with so much learned people, so many learned people around the globe, you have postdoctoral fellowships that are available in food safety and hygiene and food technology. And yet, if you find that there are concerns, that lead to outbreaks of food poisoning cases and recalls globally, then there is something important that we are not touching the base of, right? There is something wrong. There's something which you're not able to deduce. And with this question in mind, the policy makers, and the people and authorities and organizations who are designing these standards and scripting the standards and publishing them, they wanted to think of something beyond the management system of food safety. And then, various professionals and experts have given a term of food safety 2.0. So 2.0 means it's like a new generation of food safety. HACCP and FSMS are no longer the only yardsticks of having a good food safety established in your organizations. Now it's more like, you have to go a level beyond. वो level क्या है, वो level कैसे design किया जाएगा? Let us understand, because when something is an abstract, एक आपका कोई perception है, कोई thought है आपका, हमें जब उसको accessible बनाना पड़ता है. When you want to assess a certain thought, the most important or the biggest difficulty that one may have is to create those elements that could be measurable. So if the policymakers were to define something that was missing, an element in food safety that was missing to be captured or addressed, or the challenge to be arrested, then what exactly that term can be coined as, and how do we proceed with defining it, its elements, its components, so and the challenges and how to meet the challenges, and how does it become a part of the existing drive? It cannot be another standard to be achieved. So they came up with a term as food safety culture, which is rightly defined as something that has to do with the ethics, the values, and a shared responsibility of an organization. Because the one intangible aspect of food safety management systems has been from a long time, that we have also been telling people, and in our training sessions and audits and in mentoring for implementation to certain organizations, we've always been saying one thing to sure, if not less. Food safety is everybody's responsibility. Everyone in the organization is responsible for food safety. So what we generally used to see is that every organization, every food business organization will have a quality department, and this quality department will be held responsible for all the aspects of food safety. And food safety had been started to seem equivalent to quality assurance or quality control, which is not right. So what we as professionals in this field were also trying to communicate to people was to address a fact that food safety is an abstract noun. If you see the part of speech in English, it's something that you want to achieve. It's situational. It is a circumstance. It is not a tangible substance. It's not about a good or a product, right? It's not a service. It's a situation. So to bring about the right situation in an organization or in a work environment, everybody is responsible. Not one person could be, on one department could be held responsible for it. And that is what we as implementers or assessors also felt the difficulty, and all the audience gathering here, around 35 of you, you all probably will agree that either being a part of the organization or the service providers, somewhere down the line, this activity was concised and confined to the quality department of implementing food safety. So the biggest challenge for implementers was
meeting challenge.
Oh, all right. So This is supposed to be assumed as a shared responsibility for each and every uh, part and participle of an organization to have the same kind of objective, which is you have to prevent your end consumer from consuming unsafe food. And every food safety partner, food safety associate here with me who either are a part of the organization or a service providers will agree that the food safety policies, the first document that the organization must have correct is the last thing which is being designed and the last thing that they actually work upon, right? So it's very important for the organizations to understand the significance of food safety policy, which starts by saying that, okay, all this is fine, all what you write down for training and vendor management and quality control processes is all okay, but then the policy starts with the word. Anybody who wants to unmute and tell me what is that word that every food policy starts with? There is this one word.
Ensure safety.
This is the
Hello.
third, fourth word in the statements of policy. No.
Hazard.
This is the third or the fourth word in every policy you pick up, which you've made, or you can search Google. This is the third or the fourth word in every food safety policy, which defines what we are doing today. We are committed to. So that third keyword is the essence of the entire food safety policy. It is the essence of the entire implementation and objectives of implementing food safety in any organization, any food business. And that keyword itself tends to be forgotten at times, right? So commitment happens to be the most important and the most significant. In fact, the most important keyword and the topmost keyword in your food policy that you design yourself, right? So what was tried to be thought was that when we are talking about commitment, what exactly can be an element of the commitment that we were trying to look at as an element which is missing, in the implementation of food safety. That till today, so much has been done and still we have outcomes which are not preferable. So then it was realized that it's very closely linked with the environment of working in the businesses. And then we were talking about these subconscious, because these are the elements that you generally do not discuss technically. The subconscious feeling, the gut feelings, the commitments and assurances, what do you think about? All these things generally did not matter till today. For businesses, it was all about, okay, fine, we have an SOP, we have record formats, we have CCPs, we monitor them, we review them, we have a continual improvement, and this is how we are managing food safety. And if something goes wrong, then we'll have the, the recall system, withdrawal system to help us out. So, but the terms coining moral responsibility, social responsibility, commitment, good environment were somewhere missing, by being not assessed for these. And that was found as the most important component for any implementation. It was found that if that is missing, then everything goes for a toss. So the culture, because we were talking about it since years together, the one biggest concern that the food safety professionals talk about themselves, among themselves and with the businesses, and one of the biggest one-to-one talks that the business leaders have with the food safety professionals as auditors or trainers is, ab kya kare, mindset to change nahi kar sakte. This particular line is so important. This is the line that we get to hear most often, and we realize that this is the line that hides the secret to the actual implementation. What do you want to see as a food safety professional? Not that all your records are filled and all your documents are made up to date, and then all the copy pasting has been done in the right kind of pages, and you have all the signatures and dates below and prepared by and approved by good headers and footers and all. And then when you go on the sites, you have all the posters and stickers pasted, and then you have the CCP1, CCP2 mentioned on the equipment, and you have a cleaning schedule, janitor section, you'll have a metal detector and everything. But if my conscience is not right, if my intentions and objective understanding is not right, these things will not happen before and after the day of the audits. And that is quite visible to the eye of an auditor. All right. So what we felt missing was the culture of food safety. And when we say culture, culture talks about the common behavior of a group of people having the same kind of objective. So culture here was missing when we used to hear about people, अब क्या करेंगे, अभी सारा काम हमको ही करना पड़ता है, अरे अब किसको बुलाओगे आपको डॉक्यूमेंट के लिए, वो मुझे ही दिखाना पड़ेगा आपको, अरे अब हम लोग डिपार्टमेंट में इतने से हैं, कितने लोगों का काम हैंडल करेंगे, अरे आप एक काम करो, आप लोग को ये वाला पार्ट मैं ही हैंडल करूंगा, डोंट इन्वॉल्व देम, यू विल नॉट गेट द राइट आंसर्स. These kind of responses, when you get to understand that food safety is kind of an added responsibility to one of the departments. And moreover, when you hear the leaders talking to you as the first thing when you meet them is that, okay, fine, your audit may start, and we have, of course, the term obvious that we have obviously kept Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so for this audit with you for 2 days, and they are the ones who are custodians of food safety here. So this is the concern, this is the challenge. And after having heard all these things, the international organizations and authorities, we came up to understand that the most important term, the most important thought process has to go in building a proper food safety culture. That will solve the concern. So you can drive food safety, through a good culture by having a good company and personal commitment, as you can read your policies, what it says, and try to follow it again and again. Making food safety as a habit, this is what the leadership, the HR departments can actually do to make food safety as a habit. So for making food safety as a habit, you cannot just keep food safety and documentation and record keeping in files or in systems or common shared file folders in the systems and just be done away with it, right? You have to daily encounter people. You have to make food safety as a part of discussions, etc., right? You have to see as a business how well you are able to engage the workforce in the elements important for food safety. You cannot let an employee in an organization think that if this is something to do with food safety, it is not my task. I must inform it to my senior or HOD or the quality manager. If that thought process comes into people, it is a failure of the business to make people understand that food safety is everybody's responsibility. So the departments here are required to engage the workforce, the manpower, to understand that food safety is their daily job. All right. And that is where your diagonally opposite element of food safety habit comes into play. And most importantly, transparency and communication. Unless and until there is no transparency in the cross-functional departments in the business, and as a communication between departments, within the departments, and the involvement of these departments with their external service providers or external resources of knowledge or information. Still, you do not have a transparency in these interactions or in this communication matrix, you cannot have a proper food safety, because somewhere or the other there will be a linked chain of data or information that may be critical for food safety at the consumer's end. So basically, how we define, how was food safety culture defined? It was a group of shared values, beliefs, and the norms and regulations that may affect the mindset and the behavior of the employees towards the aspect of food safety in, across, and throughout the organization. So it means organization as a business, throughout all the members of the business, like all the stakeholders, and to all the divisions, horizontally and vertically. That means through all the cadres, all the levels, and across all departments and stakeholders. Hence, the food safety culture can be defined as the food safety attitude. So these are the terms, I must tell you, that they did not prevail, they did not exist in food safety 1.0. And we were talking more about the technicalities of HACCP and management systems, but we realized that it was a failure to not do so. And it's important to include attitude, your values, and the beliefs that are shared by a group of people. If I have a cafeteria as a business and I'm serving food with, someday there is a cockroach, someday there is a fly, someday there is a the tail of a lizard in it, and I'm also packing those stuffs for my consumers, how do you expect my employees to understand the significance of not having these foreign particles in the food that they are packing? If there is a line operator who is, let's say, packing or sealing pouches, let's say 1 lakh in a day, or let's come down to, let's say, 1,000 in a day. And then he realizes that by just stopping the machine for 1 pouch, there would be an investment of time and money and wastage of his output as his job responsibility or her job responsibility. Then he needs or she needs to understand that even a single fly that may have dropped is important for consumers' safety. And if this person is consuming a dal every 5th day with a fly in it, will never understand that significance. क्या होता है, हम भी तो खाते हैं, क्या हो जाए? So this attitude will come from the value that it had and the belief that they had, because the food safety would stay, for that business, in such businesses as the top management and the service providers, and it will never come down to the people who are actually operating on the line. All right. So it is taken as a product of employee attitude, belief, and behavior that determines the commitment to and the robustness of the FSMS in that organization. So basically what you see is that, for an effective food safety culture to be in place, it starts not only from the kind of facility that you have. You will find places where they will have good facilities for employees to eat food or, washrooms, etc. But you will find that they are, let's say, 200 meters away from their workplace. It's raining and there's nothing on the top. There is no provision for washing their hands and washing the utensils of dinners. So this is an understanding, of lacking to understand the attitude of people, and I'm pretty sure that all of you understand the concept of food defense. Can we please mute our, I wish to cover a lot in a very short span of time. So can we please mute ourselves? Or Jyoti, can you just mute everybody and take the controls? Jyoti and Jarna, can you please take the controls and mute everybody? Except me for sure, please. So what we find in food defense is when you talk about food fraud and food threats, in threats, you are taking a component of a disgruntled employee. So, it also, you cannot just lay the entire blame on the the disgruntled employee in food defense in the threads. You have to understand that the employee has become disgruntled because of something that we have not provided in the organization. So, you have to think from that perspective of the employee and the environment, that what do you need to develop that culture which is missing. All right. So there are some types of food safety culture that are generally seen around. Like, there will be non-compliers who are calculative. You'll find them saying that I never, bother wasting time on something that I cannot get the moolah from, the money from. So I better make money, and when I get that amount of money, I'll have a lot of equipment to implement food safety. So the activity that we are supposed to do here is to help them, challenge their thought process, give them case studies, make them understand and convert their thought process. And then there will be people who are not calculative, but they are doubtful because, they've never faced such an encounter in the past. So they'll say that, okay, in the past so many years I've been running this business, I did not face anything wrong. So I'm almost sure that, nothing will happen in the future as well. So we are supposed to help them to get convinced and, dispose of all their doubts that they may have, to understand that what has not happened today just takes one day to happen and one moment to happen, basically. Then you will find the compliers who are between compliers and non-compliers, like, they are dependent ones. So they're like, see, this is not my cup of tea, my piece of cake. So, you just tell me what is to be done, I'll do that. Now, people like these, they show you that interest that they want to do something. But we don't want the interest there. We want the interest in you to see what you can do to get your team's act put together. So we need to help these people, by encouraging them and enabling them to have their self-dependency. Because you can suggest them today, but you cannot suggest them 3 months later when probably whatever they were trying to do has failed to sustain itself. Then you have these friends of the food safety professionals who are, I could see that there are quite some in the participants today who I know, who are proactive compliers, who are who become a part of the business and from a department who may not be from quality, but they support in the telling people that things may go wrong, and they themselves also they take responsibility, and they make others also take the custodian. Jyoti, can we just please take controls?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So, because in 5 minutes, you're going to remind me for the time, right? So please just take controls.
Yes, sure, sir.
All right. So we have to encourage all the people, all the staff to, move ahead. But also you will have to develop some kind of a recognition program where you are, acknowledging their efforts, and these people are the one, because in the entire team you'll find only few. So you want this disease to spread. You want this to be contagious. You have one today, you need to have others also together. And you have to let go of the element of, one person being custodian of this responsibility. So this has to be contagious. And when you find one person, you recognize, you acknowledge, and that is how the others also will be encouraged to do the same thing. All right. Then you find leaders. The leaders in building a culture are those people who are taking this responsibility by themselves, and not only the responsibility, also the accountability, and they come up with nouveau practices. That, okay, fine, you told me that, I should not have loose nails on the walls. So what I have done is I have tried to, remove this entirely from the entire plant. I had to convince people a lot, but I could do that. And now this will happen. I have changed the structure. And from now onwards, this is not going to happen. So these are the people, these are the leaders who who surface, and they reflect that when they are told something to do, they take a step ahead and they take the leadership to not only cover the non-compliances, but also improvise the system. So the people who are trying to think about the others to come together in a food safety management system, build the food safety culture as a leader. And as a food safety professional, or the business owners and all, we need to applaud these people also, like I said, recognition and acknowledgement, but also make sure that you introduce and induce an attitude of external competition, that these are the best practices that we've had. Every time you meet them, every time you talk to them, you can always mention about some best practices from some other place. Name people that XYZ has done this in their organization, and such a good thing, and it has come in this journal, or in this website, or in this WhatsApp group on LinkedIn. So this builds in the encouragement that, okay, let me do something more, so that I am also reflected, my business is also reflected on a global platform. So that's what basically we can do. And while doing this, the elements that are important of instilling the food safety culture would be, these are those elements, those 8 elements that can help you to understand where all exactly you need to address, which all points you need to arrest for building a food safety culture. Because again, as I tell you, that if it has taken so many years for people to realize that food safety culture is important, then probably the reason was that we were not able to pick on those elements in the food safety management system which could be of priority to be taken under consideration. So communication, business priorities, like we discussed about the types of compliers and non-compliers, the risk perception, the perception of the risk that it may happen, it may not happen, that also affects food safety by its likelihood. I'm pretty sure that everybody in the session today has worked upon HACCP. Working on HACCP, you must have worked upon the risk assessment. In the risk assessment, you do the likelihood and severity matrix. You multiply them into a product as a situation. So there you need to score the likelihood of a hazard. What risk rating you are giving to the likelihood shows the kind of attitude, behavior aspect, belief, and morals that we have against food safety. If you keep giving one for each and every hazard that is possible in a facility, you are trying to tell people that it is not possible in my premises that something can go wrong, and that is an obstruction to the implementation of food safety culture. Only unless you believe that everything is possible, unless you did something about it, then I think we will not be even doing the HACCP correctly, right? So the risk perceptions have to be right. Perception of the safety procedures, competence of the workforce. If we keep on understanding that the entire workforce, it was always mentioned to have cross-functional inclusions in verification teams, in food safety teams, and auditing teams, for the purpose that we wanted to have inputs and a third eye vigilance from various different perspectives in the food safety system management implementations in the business. But cross-functional does not mean multifunctional. You cannot, because of that perception, you cannot make a cleaning steward go and pack a pre-packed food product on the line because he is available, or the other person has to be relieved, or he is on a chutti. That is not right. If you have in a hotel, you will have kitchen stewards. You have a kitchen steward free, and then you like his chai, and then you have to get some chai delivered in the restaurant. If the chef is busy, you ask the cleaning steward to go and prepare chai. And not naming anybody in the participants also. Please, no offense to be taken on any of the examples I'm providing here. And they may absolutely hold no significance to the reality. Or I'm just giving you examples. Yes, I'm smiling. So this multi-functionality in the teams and businesses is not right. It does not mean cross-functional. It's a different concept. And what we find as wrong here is people who are not competent to do a task are being allocated to do a certain task by giving them some training. And what we fail to understand is that the credibility and the competence that an individual may have to perform a task, which is an important and critical task for sustaining food safety till the last consumer of a particular product or service. This person's credibility has been brought up by the HR and the leadership in the business by their qualification, by their skills and education, not only the training provided to them. So you cannot say always that, okay, fine, I think he can do that task because we have arranged lead auditors training for them. Assume an individual who has joined an organization as a trainee in quality department, and the quality department has a very short manpower. And what they do is they want to get internationally certified for, let's say, ISO 22000. And they say that, okay, I do not have that much of manpower. So what I'll do is I'll get this trainee, will convert into a management trainee in next 2 months. I'll get a lead auditor training done for them. He'll be certified or she'll be certified. And from that day onwards, they can handle my food safety. A person has not even seen operations. He's not seen the troubles happening. They do not know about the troubleshooting of, let's say, as simple as a part of a gasket moving in from the joints of the pipeline of a dairy or beverage industry. So they do not know that it may happen. They do not know the material of construction for the pipelines, for the plate heat exchangers, the kind of entropy and enthalpy drops or the potential gradients that may happen because of even the wrong kind of equipment on a wrong floor of the building. And to reach this will take years. And a lead auditor program of 5 days will not have that person understand the hazards that can take place. So the competence term here is also underrated. And this is the one element that is very important for us to understand the criticality of a good culture to be in. Leadership. I think if I define this element, I will be underrating this component. It is beyond definitions. It is beyond explanation. You have to understand from within the significance of leadership in a business to inbuild a food safety culture. And this leadership actually talks about how vigilant are you, what do you want from your employees. There's one saying I always quote that. I generally quote that in the beginning of all my sessions. The standard you walk past is the standard that you accept. So a good leader is one who is basically poking and pointing and pinning down the concerns and challenges every time that they observe it. Once you become used to it, you are no longer being a leader and having the eagle view to have this concern corrected. So leadership is very important. It is very important that the leaders first inbuilt this culture in them so that they can have it poured down to the team members in that business organization. The involvement of the employee. So moving ahead from competence to leadership. You understand how competence and leadership are intertwined now? Now, similarly, leadership giving rise to the involvement of the employees in the business operations. You cannot say, okay, you are maintenance, you just, just give it a moment, let the quality talk because they are the quality guys. So when you do this, you are failing to acknowledge that there are concerns in the business that a quality person is not equipped by education or qualification to know and assess. It is moreover known by the maintenance department who are dealing with each and every spare part of the equipment and machinery. So this kind of thought process where you are leaving a few group of employees to be involved in a kind of case. See, because what did you say in your policy? We are committed. So when you say we, who is this we? Is it only the stakeholders or the VPs or the CEOs of the company? No. Over here, we meant each and every employee of the company. So if you are keeping all the employees on the same pedestal, then how can you say that one of them is more, involved, indulged, or I would say required in a certain troubleshooting? That cannot happen. Each and every person is involved in this. I can prove to you that where in an equipment failure, which may be a chronic equipment failure, how HR is important. What role does HR play? I can prove to you that. So you have to understand that the employee involvement is a very important element, which will further give rise to each and every employee in the business for the ownership of safety. Unless you will have this ownership by each and every person that, okay, yes, I am responsible for this, I am accountable of this, nothing would, go right. And then of course, we come back to the first point of communication, that how well we are communicating our expectations and our requirements across and beyond. All right. And I give you a very small example of, if you understand this, it will be great. When you meet people beyond, beyond India, or beyond Asia, I would say, you will find people when you discuss and introduce, this was my personal experience. In India, what generally do you say when somebody comes and meets you in the business? Just let me know if you do not experience this. You will always say, I take care of quality, and then there are people who would say, I take care of engineering and maintenance. And then there will be people who will be saying, I take care of HR. And then the business head will say, I take care of all of them. Does that happen or not? Please raise your hand if you have not heard this statement in introductions with external people. I take care of quality, I take care of management, I take care of HR, I take care of this and that. You have, I'm counting till 3. You raise your hand if in case you haven't heard that. 1, Aman. All right. 2, 3, Sajan. Can I know from both of you? Okay, Marul, we have more people. I believe we are a little late in explaining food safety culture. It's already there in some places. Can I understand from you what exactly do you say? You can unmute and tell, please. Or if the rights are not there, you can even type in the chat box and let us know. We're waiting for the responses. If you don't hear this, that, I take care of this particular department, then what exactly do you hear people saying? If you say you do not hear that, then you'll have to tell us what exactly you hear, right? We're waiting for you to write on the chat box. Aman, Marula Siddhappa, and Sajan. Please help us find out. Okay. If the hands are going down and no responses coming, I believe that everybody understands and agrees that yes, Aman.
Yes. So usually we hear from the company owners also see all the process of the company. He goes with the quality, he does the HR, everything. So there is no specification in the industry. Like he should appoint somebody to see the quality of the product and services he is offering to the industry. So yeah, my point of view is that the only
Aman, I that's exactly what we're talking here today. But then I was asking you a very specific point. Do you hear people introducing themselves as I take care of quality?
Yes, yes, I hear quite often.
Yeah. So I was talking basically about this terminology, the terminology of people saying in Asian countries, I take care of this department. And when you explore beyond the Asian countries, you'll realize that what people basically say is I'm accountable for quality department, and some you will find saying I'm responsible for quality department. After these visits, no, I think somehow it became one of my biggest, when people used to ask me, what did you find there? What did you do there? What was the difference? There were various technological differences, machines and operations and people and stuff. But for me, what struck me here was that, oh yeah, मेरे से जब कोई पूछता है मैं बोलता हूँ I take care of this. These people say I take care of this. We are taking care of something like, we are taking care of a baby or something. You're always pampering only, not responsible for the future. But what they are saying is they are responsible of something. They're accountable to something. So I felt back and understood that, okay, this is a very big difference. Friends, when people, rebuke or demean Asian culture and Indian culture in the terms of hygiene and safety prevalent in the country, I am very sorry. My experience with, with the 7-8 countries I have been to is not similar. I disagree with the fact the kind of efforts, money and time that we put in, building a kind of food safety system in an organization, and the kind of percentage of or investment that we have had is much higher, because probably the kind of difference that you all see or the people see is that the kind of confidence that Asians have on the risk level, which is lesser, and the risk level is much higher in the countries abroad. So their fear factor is also higher, which tends them to, have a little lesser, a little higher control than us. My experiences and the experiences that the international individuals who have visited us in India is this. So my point here was, what is that difference that despite of having the huge population and despite of having the huge, much higher level of education in especially this field, how come we are still not acknowledged as wow? So this was the first difference that I observed, and I found that, this cannot do. I cannot take care of something. I will have to be responsible for something. I should be questioned, if something goes wrong. I should be accountable for getting it right. Why should somebody else be accountable for something that I did not stop being wrong? So this ownership factor is very important. I think this is important for every food safety professional to help build in the organization and taking it forward. So just sharing my experiences with you all. This is how we can understand working on the food safety culture, where you need to engage the staff, promote a shared responsibility for food safety across all functions, improve the outcomes of food safety. All right. Now, what we basically do is food safety ends at designing a document, filling it regularly, and checking for its getting filled up and verified weekly or monthly or whatever your SOP says. However, what we are not doing currently is analyzing the outcomes of food safety, analyzing the result of a certain process. We fail to understand as food safety professionals here, whoever you are, as external or in-house or within the organization, that every document which is designed for a particular purpose, right? So do we actually at the end of the day understand what is the outcome of what can you basically say for the activity? Let's say you designed a document for checking personal hygiene of the employees. What does that document say at the end of the day? You design something for the production planning. It will have contents, it will have rows and columns and freezers and filters and everything involved, right? what does that document say at the end? What is the result of having it done for every day, shift wise? That statement that defines that the objective of the document was such and such. And by having it filled up, this is the outcome of the process that is being recorded in the document, actually gives you the output of that particular process. All right. So this is where we lack a little. We have experiences of businesses getting their food tested and their water tested, and you will realize I have experiences of I have observations where there will be water being tested, and it is found that till it is giving the last certifying statement that it complies to BIS or IS 10500, it is okay with you, right? But then when you actually read the reports, you realize that someday your magnesium level is increasing in your water table. These are my first-hand experiences. And then they say that, okay, we never thought about it because our results were okay. The reports were okay and the lab was certifying them. But what we basically saw in the past, 4-5 years, that the magnesium level was rising to whatever 0.1, 0.5%, but it was a chronic increase. So there must be something wrong with the soil there, something with the water table. So this, how it affects the business, how it affects the end product, is something that you need to understand as a very important element of food safety. And it can only come up with the culture, because now how can you define how culture is linked over here? Because if this attitude, belief, and the shared responsibility existed in that department, every time the reports came, they would have actually read, and the leader must have questioned them on the report, how is the water this time? It would not have been just placed. I have seen microwave ovens being calibrated on temperature. I have seen bakery ovens being calibrated on temperature by calibrators not going to that higher level of measurement. I have seen the calibrating master equipment out of date and range of validity with a currently existing calibrated equipment. So why do we experience these things? We experience these things because please understand, as a business leader or an owner, why should I be seeing that something that you have missed in your business? One observation that the auditor makes, which the organization did not know, itself tells you that you missed the culture. All right. So that is the whole purpose of it. If you are able to show them as an external person on one fine day that this is something that exists which you did not know in the past, probably tells the entire story. All right. So that's important. You have to improvise your food safety outcomes and provide a toolkit to continuously improve the management of food safety. You have to strengthen the compliance and reduce the compliance cost. Okay. So if there are people in the audience who have interacted with me for their trainings or audits, you will know, you will correct me if I'm wrong here, that I always mention something, that whatever points I'm making, if you just make them as an investment, the purpose will not be fulfilled. The intention and objective should be to optimize cost. And everybody who I meet, I tell them to do at least one sustainability and optimization study in their businesses, so that you do not say that you need an extra investment. Somebody's unmuted, probably that's a reminder call for time. All right. So you need to do optimization studies to get the costs from within the operations, so that you do not need to say that this is an investment or this is a budget for food safety. There is no budget for food safety. There is no investment for food safety. The biggest non-compliance should be when you say that in the budgets, you find a column of food safety there. That should be the biggest non-compliance as per food safety culture. There is no budget for food safety. It's a budget for operations, and the operation should be having the element of food safety, right? Then improving the business performance and reputation, so people understand your efforts on food safety culture. You can showcase your food safety culture, and reducing the risks with a human error, with something to do with people and their practices. All right. What exactly can the food safety culture plan consist of? The management commitment. We have been, I think, management commitment as the clause of the international food safety standards can be taken as one of the precursor of understanding that food safety culture is the most important term to be coined, the most important element of food safety to be covered. Responsibilities of people, communication and training, the resources, the right kind of resources at the right time, in the right quantity, assessed and accessed by the right kind of people, is one of the most important components of a food safety culture plan. All right. It's very important to understand that there is a significant role of resources in planning food safety culture. Then monitoring and reviewing your operations so that you understand that how important a daily habit is and what kind of impact is a daily habit putting on the business's objective of attaining food safety. Continuous improvement. As I said, the concept of optimizing cost, optimizing operations is very important, and that is from, that comes basically from your activity of continual improvement. And what does food safety culture basically says? It says that continual improvement by itself is an element for you to prove that you are committed. You just not stay with your existing norms and rules and regulations, but you are continuously improvising yourself on the system. So you understand that there is an activity, there's a process that a certain department is doing for you as as controlling food safety, and you are improvising so that you understand that their efforts could be reduced, so better output could be given. So you do not expect better output without giving better inputs. And here is where point number 4 and 6 come together. And very important, and see where it comes from. The next point is coming in from the point number 4, point number 5, point number 6, point number 1, where you actually understand that just by filling records, you do not attain food safety. You devoid of saying that the fact that documentation is your due diligence defense. There is nothing else that can prove that you were right 6 months ago, unless a document that can prove it, right? But filling of records is not the only aspect of, of having a proper food safety system implemented. Tell me, if you have a dirty corner in a process area, let's say you have a lot of dust in a powder product packaging environment, and your cleaning schedule says cleaned every day, every 2 hours you are cleaning something, every 4 hours you taking the cold room temperatures, and on the day of the audit you find that it is going, it started off at 8 degrees Celsius, it moved on, and by the end of the audit you find it still at let's say 11 or 12 degrees Celsius. So the record being filled is a due diligence, but only the record cannot prove that you have food safety system implemented. So there cannot be a disconnect. To help reducing the record keeping by the force, you should encourage a lot of digital inputs, so trainings can be more and faster and easier, and there can be dashboards for the leadership. So the only thing you have to understand, what are the things that are keeping the departments from doing what they could do better. And what you will get as the first thing is that the trouble of writing too many records is one of the most important components of setbacks that the people have. If you want to start an international certification implementation somewhere, or certification requests come to you, you will find that the first and the biggest concern that they will have, अरे ये record कौन भरेगा? अरे तो 10th passed हैं, ये तो पढ़े लिखे भी नहीं हैं, हमने इनको slum से develop करने के लिए लेके आए हैं, ये कैसे ये record fill करेंगे? No, how can they fill those records? They will not understand. They will not understand HACCP. How can you take their inputs for proper process flow chart? So this kind of concern is not unjustified. We cannot support this kind of concern because we're talking about competence also. We are saying that the right person should be placed at the right process to be checked, but we cannot say it is unjustified. So what you have to understand that symbols, pictures, and digital platforms are very important for departments to take control on the supervision, monitoring, and analysis of the food safety activities. So dashboards will help people assess each and everything come together. You can have a major improvement and dedication towards an action plan. In my trainings, when we started off with the online trainings, we take assessments also online. So when I started doing the the Google survey form for assessments that you all take up as Google forms, we get this entire analysis in the last. So as a habit, what I do as a trainer, after each assessment that I receive, I do a complete analysis and I share with the custodians of the training organized that what kind of questions, which kind of department is doing most wrongly. Okay, so this helps them to understand, okay, see, let's talk about a hotel and a kitchen of a hotel. A chef failing in the answer of how wide a screw could be, for proper food safety, I'm giving you an example, is acceptable in a way, right? They can be trained on this. But if the chef fails on the right kind of temperature of a medium done steak of lamb or something, then that is a major concern. So just by getting 90% by a chef does not prove that, he's right. वो हमारा food safety 1.0 था. What is food safety 2.0? It asks you a question. Please have a proper culture. Please see that 10% loss kahan hua hai. What is the 10%? Is it that he's scoring very well in all the other departmental questions, but not in the kitchen questions itself? So that is the kind of, improvement that we can do with, digital platforms. So you can develop your communication and training practices. Very important. How do we measure food safety culture? As we have known that you cannot manage something unless you can measure it. All right. So you need to have a proper mission and vision. There should be people for doing, this measurement. There has to be a consistency in the observations. There has to be adaptability by people, and the hazards and risk awareness have to be correctly done. So these 5 elements help you to understand how you can convert this intangible abstraction of, a culture into, something which is auditable by international standards. Because now we needed to make this auditable, and GFSI, the Global Food Safety Initiative, has made food safety culture auditable by the mode of its international standards like FSSC. So what basically they're looking at, what is the mission and vision of people, of the organization? What is the kind of competence that people have and the kind of duties that they do? What is the consistency in the processes which could be linked with external service providers like vendors and internally also? What is the kind of adaptability that the business has? Things are changing, COVID came. How did the business adapt to the change? Products change. I give another example that, majority of the times when you want to buy basil in the market, fresh basil for, let's say, Italian pizza, pasta, something, a pesto, more than 80 to 85% of the times you'll find the Indian grown marva instead of basil. So are we adapting to the fact that We cannot have so much of basil as much as is required because it was never grown. The holy basil or tulsi is very different from the basil we're talking about. So are we ready to adapt the fact that, okay, what we need is not present right now. So either we have to change the demand or the supply. So, or we have to make it common. And the hazards and risk awareness. So does the organization understand that, what kind of hazards and the risk could be there? Do they all have the awareness from bottom till the top and across the organization? And are they able to adapt to the, to the kind of process changes, change management, and the business requirements? The 5 questions that you can ask on those elements would be, in your organization, do different teams and job roles have a specific and clearly defined JD? And in that JD, do they have the right kind of inclusion of food safety rules and regulations? Is there an established way to raise the food safety concerns by the employees that, if somebody finds something wrong, who do they say? क्या उनको कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं लगता कि यार ये बात मुझे बोलना भी चाहिए कि नहीं, और मैं अगर बोलने भी जाऊंगा तो किसको बोलूंगा? If these 2 questions exist with any employee in the business on a certain day, then the food safety culture does not exist. All right. So each and every employee should be aware of how and where to blow the whistle on something going wrong in the food safety. It could be a fraud in the document as big as that, to a failure of the right kind of equipment being installed. Do company leaders talk about the importance of commitment to food safety, or they are like those non-compliers and compliers who say, ठीक है वो अपना विपिन है ना और वो ज्योति है ना, they will handle the food safety. Let us right now focus on the month end. So this should not happen, but do the company leaders, when the company is introducing as a trainer, as a leader, as an auditor, you have introductions. So what are the terms and statements that they're using to introduce their organization to you? Are they adding an element of commitment to food safety in that or not? Do the company leaders have a walkthrough conducted, and talk about food safety in the businesses? Do they talk about food safety? Do they keep, poking and pinching on food safety each and every time? And if they do so, what are those things that they are talking to people? Does any employee come and tell you, अरे हम तो परेशान हो गए सर, ये तो बार-बार आके यही पूछते हैं अपने हाथ धोए कि नहीं? So वो तो परेशान है आपको बताने के लिए, but आपके लिए it should be a surplus, advantageous and a beneficial point. That fine. I mean, if they're troubling them so much, that means they are themselves committed to that kind of hygiene levels. Are your organization's food safety trainings and communication designed to reach all the employees? The biggest concern that we find in majority of the places is that they will cover everybody. All right. But then what happens is they will not probably include their vendors. They will not include their external service providers who are even not getting trained in their own organizations. And I must say that, there must be investment involved, or lack of leaving those people out in the training plans and schedules, where they are not including people like pest control. That was my example. So pest control, what happens, you are depending upon the certificates or documents that you are receiving from people, from them, but you do not really understand if they know the pest management properly, and then they can perform pest management by keeping your operations and products safe. All right. So that is one example that I can quote, and there'll be similar such factors involved. There are certain questions that are coming up. Just give me a moment to wind up and take up questions. Now I come to the point where we can discuss about the challenges of implementing food safety culture. I'm so sorry, Jyoti, if you can just keep copying and pasting the questions in a place so we can take up them together. We should not be lost in, even if the session is lost.
Okay.
what are the challenges of implementing food safety culture will have an optimistic bias that, people thinking that nothing can go wrong. Okay, that will be something which is the biggest, most historic, most chronic challenge that you will face in food safety culture. आज तक तो हुआ नहीं है, अब कैसे होगा? All right. So the lack of values, that when you have a business strategy being built up for profits always, and when you find terms like budget for food safety, these things tell you that there is a lack of values towards food safety, and it is more about or when you find that Manini Ramesh, can you please mute us? Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Now you mute. Okay. So when you find these terms being coined, or when you actually see that the purchase departments are not very inquisitive to know how your vendors are controlling the increased cost. Each of your vendor will have a capped cost for an year, and then the petrol cost rises. So you are just okay, aapka to capped price hai, they will keep selling you products. But are they, importantly looking at the factor that it's a running business, they cannot go for a loss. So how are they basically coming up with this, with balancing their cost with us? So if they are not inquisitive about this, if they are not working on this, then certainly they are lacking that value. आराम से ठीक है, हमारा तो contract है ना, हमारा तो cost capped है, तो आता रहेगा. That is something which is this attitude gives rise to the factors of food fraud. One very important factor of food frauds that happen because there is no questioning on balancing of the alternatives, or balancing the cost by alternatives and substitutes, or dilution. All right. Professor Geller had mentioned, I'm so sorry, E. Scott Geller, if you are a Friends serial watcher, if you like Friends, then you know where it can come from. Professor Geller wrote that priorities can change, but values cannot. This is something which is a very important thing which I always understand, and I always make use of it. Mindset, as I always discuss, is one of the biggest challenges. Managing commitment of the operations of the business, its strategies, its objective, and food safety. If food safety is not a part of the key performing initiatives, you will have KPIs, you will have incentive plans, you'll have modes of understanding, modes of incentivizing the employees, and the key matrices that you have. If food safety is not a part of it, if hygiene is not a part of it, then you have to understand that the commitment is only one. All right, you are only committed for the people to do their job. If their job consists of food safety or not, that is not being measured anymore. Safety for audit, that is also very important, that we have to understand that you cannot keep your environment hygienic and safe only for the audits, whether it is external or internal. The day that culture stops happening, see, as an auditor, what I felt was, when you find that the area is perfectly clean, and then you can find, if you are an auditor with around 500, 600 mandates of audit, you will get that God-gifted power for you to understand that if a particular process is ever run or not, if it's done just 2 days ago or not. So you'll find the areas perfectly clean, but then you also find factors how it was clean just 2 days ago. The biggest thing that comes to your mind, and which I always tell the leaders, that it may have been possible that this kind of cleaning was done 2 days ago, and sometimes they also tell you, sir, aap aa rahe the isliye humne itna clean kiya. If that is the level of cleanliness that you can arrive in just 2 days, imagine if you can continue doing this every day. You have the potential to reach this level of hygiene and cleanliness. That means potential hai, but usko use nahi karna cha rahe hain. ये जो गैप है ना, यूज नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं, potential है लेकिन use नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं. This is the summary of food safety culture. Yeah. So building a strong food safety culture, it takes time. It is not like Rome was not built in a day, or Banaras was not built in a day, I would say, and efforts, but small changes make a big difference, because it's business environment for people who change in management and leadership. They keep moving out. So you have to understand, अरे यार अब तो ये मुझे तो जाना ही है, अब कौन उसको देखने वाला है. If that attitude is left behind, and the people do their little bit every time, the company or organization grows. All right. The reason, you know, if you must have heard from a person saying, यार ऐसा क्या है जो हम कर रहे हैं, जो हम नहीं कर रहे हैं, जो वो कर रहे हैं, या जो हम कर रहे हैं और वो नहीं कर रहे हैं, कि हमारा नाम नेस्ले जितना फेमस नहीं है, या पार्ले जितना फेमस नहीं है फूड सेफ्टी में, वॉलमार्ट जितना फेमस नहीं है. सो द फैक्ट इज कि वो सिर्फ इतना ही कर रहे होंगे कि फूड सेफ्टी फॉर देम इज कल्चर, and for us probably it's a day's activity. Separately, I'm mentioning the challenge for the implementers, food safety or quality department, where time and isolation becomes the two most important element of the challenge, where you'll find that, you know, there will be people in the businesses who are, let's say, quality. Now there are so many examples I know from people in quality. In manufacturing industries, you will make them responsible for water treatment, effluent treatment, also customer interaction also. And if you are involving people from that department in other jobs, then what will happen? They will certainly do their job, but then they will not get the time to learn more and improvise their operations in their kind of job. They will not get to have, you know, exposure to what new is happening in the world. And also the second one is feeling isolated. They will be, acha, the doctor saab hai. One candidate in the participants will agree with this fact. ये तो डॉक्टर साहब हैं, ये हाइजीन चेक करते हैं, ऑडिट चेक करते हैं, ये हैं. In the meetings, you call everybody, you don't call the food safety professional saying that, acha, it's a business meeting, you need not come. You know, so these things are those which are leaving you out. And how can an auditor find it? You can look at a couple of 10 or 12 management review meetings or business meetings. Ask them to show you the business meetings, not the HACCP review, not the FSMS review, just the business meetings. And you find, if you find that there is absolutely never that the quality or, you know, I would say TPM people, total productivity management, or 5S people, or 6S people, or, you know, Kaizen or food safety people involved in it, then there is certainly an issue. So developing food safety awareness and culture helps all the food safety professionals solve the first of their problems, the businesses. And this is probably how you can understand the maturity index of the culture also. You move from a level to the other. You'll have an effective leadership. You will have proper food safety plans, which will be very descriptive. But descriptive हुए ही इसीलिए because you till now, you know, till a long time you had hazards, physical, chemical, biological, foreign particles, external chemicals, microorganisms. The food safety culture is displayed when you have a list. Okay, you can have Streptococcus aureus over here, and you can, you know, you can have Listeria monocytogenes, because this is the environment. That kind of description of HACCP comes when you have a food safety culture and you try to include various departments to find out what can be the concerns which are pulling back food safety and its results in the business. Reactive, you become reactive to proactive. You become proactive in your approach. This, see, understand, we're not talking about HACCP here by having a proactive approach. Even HACCP can be reactive and proactive, right? Reluctance to change. You now start improvising your systems continuously. Where you did not have accountability, you have everybody who is accountable and everybody is questioned instead of one person in a meeting. And then you will have a better integrated risk management. And then you will find like this, you can have a picture of this. I found this as a very good picture which describes a cycle of growth and success in a business when you have implemented food safety culture. It tells you what all good things you will find. You will have a good reputation. You can have your staff feeling rewarded. You have a good morale. And I see that in the eyes of people, of organizations, which could be small in size and business volumes, but then their food safety culture is, potently very strong. So sorry. Then you will have a good training conducted. You will have analysis of people who are accountable for training and competence of people. You'll have a very strong and confident customer base. If you tell the customers, okay, we had this product and today you can try this one, and they will say, no, I think I'll stick to this one. That is giving the customers that kind of confidence. And of course, at the end of it, the business grows. So, this is basically our objective. When you are a business person, your core objective of opening that business was probably not public health. It was that it is your business and you want to run it well. And that becomes your business goal and achievement, right? To reach that, if you are using food as your business, then you need to understand the kind of responsibility socially and morally that comes with the ease of food business. Again, another concern that anybody who gets a little bank account as stable, the question that they ask themselves is, what business can I do? And the first answer that their mind comes with is, let's do a food business. And there starts the story of another cycle where people start serving food to people, which is the most common form of passing most deadliest of microorganisms to poor consumers who may or may not know the risk of those microorganisms. So I believe that with this discussion, I was able to, explain a little bit of, the importance and significance of food safety culture, how food safety system management is incomplete unless we talk about food safety culture, we implement food safety culture, and that is where the food safety implementation starts from and where it basically ends, which should not end, it should be a continuous journey. I think, I've tried to give whatever inputs I could in this time. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thanks Jyoti and Jarna for organizing this. Thank you, Dr. Kataria, for giving us this platform to discuss, and more than making it just a training session, we get to understand this as a discussion forum. So thank you for that. And now I think, Jyoti, we'll be glad to take questions if there are.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation and explaining the topic in simplifying ways. Now I request all delegates to put your question in the chat box, which shall be taken up during the discussion.
Sir, can you please stop this share screen?
You can make the questions, and in the meanwhile, I'll read them from the chat box also.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
May, do we have May on board right now?
Hello, sir.
Yes, now I am here.
Hi, May. Let me tell you one thing. When I take my sessions on food safety, especially with the colleges and students, and they talk about the challenges of food safety with nouveau products and all, the first thing is the statement that you have mentioned in your chat box. The demand. If you are sitting in a city in the southern part of India and you want to have an authentic pizza, you need to understand that it is your demand that you wanted, that there has to be a company to provide it to you. When you say that, if Maggi is harmful or instant noodles are harmful, then why do they make it? They make it because they sell it and you buy it. They say that, if alcohol is deterrent to health, then why do they make it? They make it because you buy it and you need it. So this is a very important factor, May, that, you will be demanding, you will be expecting hotels in the eastern part of India to have a Lahori biryani or a Lahori lamb. Lahori lamb can be made as Lahori lamb or biryani because they are using the water and salt from Lahore. Now, to recreate that kind of Lahori biryani or Lahori lamb, you cannot make that originally in, let's say, Odisha, which is in the eastern parts of in India, or if you want to make Lal Mas in Tamil Nadu. Lal Mas is a jungly hunted originally lamb with the fresh meat just done in ghee and red chilies with salt, just that in an earthen pot over coal fire. Now you want to serve that in somewhere where you will not even find that kind of venison, that kind of deer or lamb. Then they will try to create it with the additives and other kind of taste enhancers and stuff. Then how can you say that it is the preparator who is creating this issue for you? It is you who has that kind of a demand for it. For chocolates, for Ajinomoto, MSG, added MSG, all these things, it is your demand for it, right? Margarine. Margarine was designed because you wanted your cookies and cakes to be made that way. So it's not the defaulting of the business of preparing margarine and selling it. It is what you wanted. So May, I really applaud your point that you have made such a bang on statement there. It's so right in saying that food safety and culture of food safety comes originally from the demand of the kind of products that you want to consume.
Yes, thank you. Yes, now I'm from Myanmar. Yes. I'm really happy to join in that session. Thank you.
Thank you, May, for joining us. Thank you. Marula Siddhappa ji, namaskar. So now over here, food safety culture, as your point says, should be included or not, should be captured or not, is the first essence of food safety culture, that it should be an unexplained requirement of any food safety system. However, what we were trying to tell today was that since we did not find food safety culture inherent, it has been made auditable by GFSI standards. You got my point, Marula ji? That since it was not found, it was made auditable and mandatory by the Global Food Safety Initiative, International Food Safety Standards. So if you ask, if you are putting the verb there need, then we certainly need it. It is, it should be a part of HACCP also. It should be captured in HACCP because when these things come up like food safety culture, food defense, I'll take 1 minute to explain this. It's like you as a business today, you are HACCP certified, all right, or ISO certified. ISO 22000 talks about the little column of PRP of bioterrorism, biovigilance, etc. in the last one. But GFSI standards like FSSC, SQF, IFS, and BRC, the newest volume, they talk about food safety culture as auditable. Now you are ISO certified, so you keep thinking that, okay, food defense is a part of GFSI, so I will not implement it. That will become wrong because it will be like, okay, I know that there is something better and good, but I will not do it because it is not required from a certification body. I hope you're getting the point I'm trying to say here, right? So if it is available, if the processes are available, I think you should capture and include in your systems also. And as I had mentioned to you, if you have taken the if you have captured a part of the slides over here, food safety culture can be the documentation that can happen is basically it's not a separate documentation. And if you have a separate document for food safety culture, the purpose of food safety culture will be lost. You understood this point, no? So food safety culture can be judged by the auditors, as I told you, from your review meetings, from the involvement of people, so if you talk about documentation of food safety culture, it does not exist for you, but it exists for the food safety auditors. So our checklists now include points that that are more vigilant on okay, is this linked with FSC or not? So when we check MRMs now, what we do is we also check that how many times who all were absent. When we talk to people, when we talk and question to people, then we talk about more on what kind of answers they are providing us. All right. So I think as an answer to your question, no document to be added separately, but each document should come to a conclusion, should give you a result, and that should surface and reflect in your management review meetings that the leadership is responsibly discussing all these things, and involvement of highlighting the NCs should be given to each and every employee. And then you can have suggestion boxes and complaint boxes that can talk about the involvement of each and every employee. And you can always talk to your certification provider and all. They can actually provide you a proper process-based system of implementing food safety culture in your business.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Sir, this is Guru Shankar from Bangalore.
Hi.
This was a wonderful session because with my experience of all these 15 years of experience, you told most of the things what practically as a quality people face it on ground. A lot of things you told about management, a lot of things you told like how we are like deviated, a lot of things which were actually I was just trying to correlate how over a period of 15 years. I think I also agree with you. A lot of things, such sessions are needed, and we need to make the management more accountable and serious so that ground people will be more serious. That thing you told about 2 days cleaning, that was literally I faced so many such incidents. I think it was very, very practical. I think I was just remembering those how the journey went. I think that's I really appreciate because such an interaction session with practical example that was truly good, sir. Good session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. Very well. Any question from you, Jyoti?
No, sir. We can proceed, I think so.
Okay.
Over to you, Supriya. Sir, please stop your screen. Excuse me, sir. Sumit sir, there is a question.
Okay. Is it in the chats?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You'll have to help me pronounce the name as Sajan or Sajan, or how do I do that? Mr. Shamkutti, Miss Shamkutti, I mean, can you please unmute yourself, please?
I am Sajan.
Sajan, hi. So Sajan, I agree with the fact, and even if you could read the point and question put up by Murali Siddhappa, that HACCP, do we require any more documentation on HACCP on food safety culture? So I agree the fact that HACCP is different. HACCP was probably the first thing that came into the existence for documenting and assessing food safety. But saying that food safety culture is different from HACCP, that should not be totally correct, because you can implement HACCP only when you have that proper culture in the organization. How? I'll tell you. When you are analyzing hazards, Sajan, when you are identifying the hazards, what do we do? My experiences have been, when you sit with the organization's department heads, the only person I find 70% sitting with me is the quality manager or the hygiene manager of hotels, quality manager of businesses. And they sit with me and say, okay, fine, this is possible in receiving, purchase, maintenance, repairs. These are the these are the hazards, and this is the likelihood, this is the severity. And okay, fine, you put 1, you put 2, you put 3, you put 4 over there. If this part of the exercise in HACCP is not done correctly, how do you think you will be implementing HACCP? What was missing here? The involvement from other departments to indulge into food safety. I'm helping an organization get FSSC Q certification. It's a brewery chain. What I'm doing for HACCP with them, Sajan, is I have refused to take any inputs from the quality department on the HACCP flowcharts and identification of hazards. I have opened my email address directly to all department heads, and I will be taking directly the inputs from them on their identification of hazards. Why? Because what you will realize that there are so many things that you will not be able to capture, you will not be able to address in the HACCP flowcharts also. Like how important is the entry of air that is going inside the pneumatic pressure for an elevator to go up and may touch the food process. If there's a backflow of air, if there's a capturing of or for dust collection, for movement of clarification of food products like grains and dals and pulses, air will come in contact. And if you are not capturing the source of air, if it is the fresh air, treated, not treated, what kind of filters and membranes are being used, what kind of TFA is in use, then you will not be able to identify the hazards correctly. Because if you are buying some oxygen cylinders from outside, then the purchase manager is also equally involved. So these things your quality manager will not tell you. This air part will not even surface in the flowchart. All right. So unless and until that culture, food safety culture, is properly implemented in the business, where the leadership, the head of the business says that I'm not giving you one person for the whole day, you may have them also, but the answers will be given to you by the department heads only, and a departmental document will be done by the department themselves and not one department. That culture, and of course the culture that even the smallest of the employee will have to contribute as much as the head, so that the head does not say that acha theek hai tum sambhal lena na, I'm okay, I'm in the business meeting and I'm in the business review meeting, so I hope Mr. or Miss X and Y Z helped you enough. So that should not be the thing. Then HACCP is no meaning, right? So the food safety culture will always be an element which is required for HACCP. They may be different as tools, but when they come together for as a result outcome, as an activity, then HACCP or FSMS, FSSC, SQF can never work without the inclusion of food safety culture. If I have answered the question, Sajan.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your good session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jyoti.
Sir, can you please stop share?
Oh yeah, surely. All right.
Our next session is on 24th September 2022 on FIRES methodology. It shall be taken by Mr. Yogesh Jain. He shall be covering FIRES terminology and methodology, what is beyond 1S and 2S, presentation replete with bad and good pictures and successful cases, and followed by question and answer session.
Just a minute, there is some technical issue. Just a minute, sir.
It really feels really great that there is one platform in India which is providing so much of information on the topics, and looking at even the upcoming topic from Mr. Yogesh. I think it's a wonderful topic I can see, and whoever in the participants is present right now, I think it's a must visit, and it's a real good topic to visit. I believe I would be present in this one as well.
Sorry for the inconvenience, sir. Just give me 1 minute. There is some network issue. Yeah. Just give me.
It looks there's some technical issue here. If there's somebody wants to talk something or ask something, please. I'll have a sip of my coffee in the meanwhile. It's really done well. Any questions, anybody? Or anybody wants to share something which they must have done differently in their businesses and implementing food safety culture, if you have done that? How many of you here can you raise your hands are from a hospitality background or the hotels? Manoj, are you still there in the session? Okay, so anybody who is there from hotels and hospitality? You can raise your hands. From beverages, anybody from beverages here? Carbonated beverages? Yeah, so we have one.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Can we start?
Yeah, I mean, I was just filling up the session.
Okay, okay.
If you want to
We will
continue, we
proceed.
can answer Mr. Marula Siddappa later on. He had a point to make here. Okay, so now this is the question I would like to answer separately, Marula. So you can be in touch with us, and I'm sure I can help you.
Yeah, request you, sir, please share all the details like your contact number and mail ID. So anyone has questions, so they will ask you directly.
Sure. So I just put that in the chat box as well.
Chat box. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
So you can just make a note of that number, and I think.
Over to Supriya,
In
ma'am.
fact,
Please.
I'm also adding my LinkedIn ID if that's what you can search for. All right. I believe, Jyoti, the issue is sorted.
Yeah, sir. We'll start. Just a minute, sir.
Sorry for inconvenience and thank you, sir. ICS is pleased to provide you all its research and development, integrated management system, QMS, EMS, and OHSMS, excellence in education management, ISO made easy in Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and Hindi. For regarding any of the above books, please contact Ms. Sushma Kendalkar.
लॉगिन नहीं है पर वो मैं कभी क्वेश्चन पूछते ना हाँ व्हाट यू वांट टू से सब पहचान वाले हैं ना सब हाँ वो सब लॉगिन लिख रहे हैं सब आवाज नहीं आ रहा फिर वो ऐसे बोलते हैं कि जैसा यू आर नॉट उनको ये मालूम है जैसा कोई चालू करके लेकिन दूसरे काम में लगे हैं सारा पता नहीं कभी कभी चाबी बेकार है
Feedback form. Please register on www.sadgunsang.org and go in your login and give feedback form. On the behalf of the Sadgunsan team, I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. Now we officially close the session. Thank you all.
Namaskaram, thank you everybody.